Have you ever left a meeting feeling like you didn't say what you really needed to be said in the meeting because you didn't want to upset someone or even upset your boss? Have you ever overextended yourself, picked up someone else's slack, or avoided tough decisions just to keep the peace? If this is you, let me tell you something that might just sting a little bit. Your need to be liked is likely hurting your leadership more than you actually realize. And so, in today's episode, we're going to unpack this feeling and the being of wanting to be liked. And this is not to shame you or you're doing something wrong, but it's really to have a clear understanding to free you to feel that confidence, knowing that you have a very powerful seat at the table. Because great leadership isn't about being liked, it is about being respected, trusted, and effective. And here's the truth: so many high achievers, especially women, have a heart led leadership mentality. They fall into this likability trap. And we don't want to get people upset, ruffle feathers, start having people talk. We fear being seen as too much, right? We avoid difficult conversations because we don't want to be the bad guy. Does this sound familiar to you? But here's what creates your business and or team is unclear expectations, underperformance that goes unaddressed, resentment both from you and others, a team that looks to you for approval instead of ownership. And when a team looks at you for an approval, what does that do for you? You're always going to be at their beck and call. You're enabling them to make decisions for themselves. They're feeling that if they make a decision, they're making the wrong decision, so they have to double check with you. You end up carrying the emotional weight of everyone else, trying to be the hero, the fixer, the peacemaker, and the list goes on. And what does this cost you as a leader? Your clarity, definitely your time, your credibility, and your ability to actually lead as a leader. And sometimes we don't even know that we're doing this, but I'm here to tell you that being a leader for multiple companies, I've been there, done that. And that is what I've learned. Yes, everyone likes me, but there's some that won't. And that is okay. And that whole other conversation I'll have an episode on is people pleasing as a leader and people pleasing not being a leader. So here's something I had to learn the hard way: being respected is better than being liked. And boy, was this a sting. It hurt. And for those of you who've been following me and listening to my podcast, I've mentioned in previous podcasts when I first got into leadership, it was an operations manager. I wanted everyone to like me. And when I did, I couldn't make decisions for my own self because the decisions I wanted to make sure that everyone else agreed with my decision. And that was wrong. So people respect leaders who, one, tell the truth, even when it feels completely uncomfortable. Number two is setting boundaries and follow through it. Setting boundaries and follow through with it. Follow through is a very powerful phrase of in this leadership role, in any leadership role, is following through what you say you're going to do. And three is make decisions for the good of the team and the company, not just to keep individuals happy. So when you're always trying to be liked, you're leading with insecurity and confidence instead of from vision. Okay, so I want you to think about this for just a minute. Now, don't get me wrong, kindness, empathy, and compassion are absolutely part of a powerful leadership or a powerful leader. But those traits don't mean you have to avoid conflicts or sugarcoat hard truths. They really mean that you lead with honesty, not with fear. There's a way to deliver what you want to say without hurting someone's feelings by the words that you choose to use. It doesn't mean that you have to be, sergeant leader where you're having to make real tough, decisions and where, people are scared to go to you. You don't want people to be scared, but you do want them to have a little shake, a little scare, not to where it's like, you have to be so stern that they're even scared to come to you and ask you a question. The strongest leaders I've worked with and coached over the years didn't make everyone feel comfortable. They made everyone feel clear and empowered. I had a client that I worked with. She's owns a very successful financial company. And in helping this individual, it was more becoming clarity of her own company, having clarity within the team, her own employees, having clarity of how she's delivering messages or how delivering things to the team in order to get what she's looking or what she wants. And sometimes as an owner, we lose that. We just have this one tunnel of the way you want things is the way it should be. But that doesn't always mean that that's what needs to happen. Let me give you three powerful moves that have always worked for me. And number one is to clarify your role. You're not here to be everyone's friend, like I said. You're here to lead. And that means making tough calls, having courageous conversations, and standing firm when others waver. Okay. When others waver, sometimes will suck the life out of us and we go a different direction. You have to stand your role with clarity. Number two is build boundaries, not walls. Huge difference here. Boundaries say, I respect myself and my role enough to not overextend myself. What do walls say to us? I'm shutting people out, no ands, if or but, the end of the story, period. But strong leadership boundaries are compassionate and clear. And number three is lead with vision, not emotion. When making decisions, I want you to ask yourself, is this what's best for the business, the mission, the goal, or the team's long term health? Or am I just trying to avoid the temporary discomfort? And when I say the team's long term health, I mean the team needs to feel empowered and fulfilled. They don't need to constantly worry by the way we lead as leaders. Okay. They need to feel empowered and fulfilled when they wake up in the morning, not feeling scared shitless to go to work because they feel that if they make a mistake, they're going to get written up or fired. Right. There's a difference there. And you have to be very cautious of what I just said. And sometimes doing what's right will make you unpopular in a moment or from time to time, but that moment will pass. And what will remain is what? Your integrity. So let me leave you with this. The goal isn't to be unliked. It is to be authentic, grounded, and effective with confidence. And as a leader, we don't always have the answer, but that doesn't mean that you can't deliver the clarity, you can't deliver the confidence. So, leadership is not about a popularity contest, okay? It's not about comparing yourself with other leaders. It is about responsibility, a calling, a choice to rise, even when it gets difficult, even when we run into those hard decisions or challenges. So, if this episode spoke to you today and that I was extremely clear on the leadership clarity, I want you to do one thing this week. Have one courageous conversation, not to create conflict, but to create clarity. And if you're ready to lead from the strength, not approval, share this episode with a friend or someone you know who would benefit from listening to this episode today. The more followers who listen to my weekly episodes and the more that you are paying forward, right? I know when I listen to certain podcasts, I get really, really pumped up and I share it with some of my clients. I share it with my family, my friends, because you know what? If I was able to listen to that and found this episode and I learned something from it, I want to pay forward to have someone else learn from it. And that is the type of coach I am and person. I want you to keep leading with presence, purpose, and power. Until next time, with gratitude, Nancy.